This is something that's been on the forefront of shooter video games for, I want to say 20 years, give or take about 20 years or so. And what I'm talking about is the obsession with looking at your gun in a shooter. Like actually looking at the gun itself. It's at its most extreme in today's climate of Call of Duty, CSGO, all those types of games. Any first-person shooter game has a button, has an actual button that you push to inspect your gun and do little cartwheels, flip it in the air, and just an ecstatic look at my gun type of animation. It's very odd, but I think the big reason why it is so, like, in your face, look at my gun, look at my gun, look at my gun, look at my gun, pretend my glasses are my gun, instead of just playing the game with your loadout and you shoot the gun and you look at it when it reloads and such. There's a button where you can just push and it goes, whoa, look at this. Look at this gun. Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I like that. I'll pay $10 for that. Which is really, it bridges the point that I'm making is they have very extreme animations of looking at the gun, reloading the gun. Personally, the way that I feel about the animations is that it's very predatory. Like it's not cool. It goes beyond cool into absurd. Reloading animations and just looking at your gun, they can't, I think it's called the inspect button. You inspect the gun, but you don't just inspect the gun, you like flail it around like a child's plaything. Which is even more strange for M-rated games to have this this inspect button, like the Call of Duty games. CSGO's not that bad. I think it kind of started with or CS2 rather, not CSGO. It was called CSGO a while ago. But with Counter-Strike, it may have started with Counter-Strike, where there was the inspect button, because at the time, you know, you have the boxes to unlock, you have to get the keys and, you know, unlock the boxes to get different skins for your guns. And the skins is really what you were looking at, or like if you had stat track, which tracks like the amount of kills that you have with that weapon. Like it has an actual counter like on the actual skin itself. You can inspect and kind of look and see how many kills you got with that particular gun.
Jesus. Holy shit!
Oh god damn,
that is the most expensive AK you'll ever hold in your entire lifetime.
Kind of practical, semi-practical, but the inspect was just to look at the gun, you know. But as games sort of adapting to the, you know, battle pass microtransaction business model, they started to get a little bit more wacky with skins, and you know, that's fine. But they also started to get wacky with the animation of just looking at your gun, because at some point you have to, the developers probably have to realize that, you know, there's how do we get people to pay more for these skins? They must have found like that there was a stagnant growth in people buying the actual skins for the guns, so they said, well, maybe we should just update the animations to make it where when someone like dies and then they have to spectate the other player, they can gloat about their skin by showing it off in these weird and wacky and these cool animations. So they started making the animations a little bit more wacky to look at. And there's just something so wild about looking at your gun skin that you paid money for. For what? For who? Who's this for? I mean, I think a lot of it stemmed from case unboxings in Counter-Strike, CSGO, is where like it originated from. But honestly, I think I blame Resident Evil 4.
Okay.
I think I blame Resident Evil 4 for having just the most detailed view on that game. You could see the guns beautifully. I don't know how they did it. It's very cinematic. The reload animations are perfect. and every game afterwards had to copy Resident Evil 4. The actual bar was set for how animations should look and how gun models should look in shooters with Resident Evil 4. I mean, you had games afterwards that were like really trying to copy like the aesthetic and the style and such. But I mean, even then, the reload animations were pretty realistic, I would say. They were aesthetic to the ear, like it was pleasing to the ear to hear the reload animations and the actual firing and of the guns and the actual camera placement to see the guns were actually very aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Like it pulled you in, and it was just like a nice aesthetic. That's why it was very well crafted. It was handcrafted to perfection, and it didn't exaggerate more than it needed to. An example of this is in Resident Evil 4, the regular rifle reload animation is very much the only one that is exaggerated, because there is a clip strip, instead of like putting in the bullet one at a time and such as a clip strip, and it's like a fancy thing that Leon does in the game where he like flicks the pick strip, the clip strip, pick strip, clip strip, what am I saying? Where he flicks the clip strip out of the rifle at the end of the reload animation, and that's the only like exaggerated type of animation that is like cool and such, but everything else is very like realistic and aesthetic. And you jump forward 20 years later to shooter games, now everything is completely exaggerated, like exaggerated to the max, exaggerated in almost like a makes me feel uncomfortable type of way. Like everything is like they slam the clip into the gun, or you know, even like aiming down the sights is very exaggerated. It's like they put their whole shoulders and such into it, and they look down the sight and they're da, 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 da. Like I don't understand why it is so exaggerated to begin with. I mean, these are mature rated games. These are games for adults, 18 plus, 17 plus, Peggy 18. Like, I'm not saying that the business model is trying to reel as many people in as they can so that they can buy battle passes and such, but I'm just saying there's manipulative tactics being used on these reload animations. Reload animations would not be as exaggerated, and inspection modes would not be so blatantly exaggerated for manipulation, buyer manipulation, if there weren't microtransactions to buy skins and decals to put on your guns and such. I bet the animations would be very much closer to like 2008 Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2 reload animations, if there were no purchasable skins where everything could be unlocked in the game. The animations wouldn't be so unappealing and exaggerated and such. That really just made me think. I saw like a Black Ops 6 clip the other day, like just browsed on my phone, and it just devastated me of the aesthetic that the game kind of took and such. I never played Black Ops 6. I played Modern Warfare, the Modern Warfare games, the new ones, but they've gotten out of control, and I don't know what it is. It's how big business views their customers. They don't see it as ironic having like a waifu, bunny, girly, sparkly decal, such that everything that you see on there is a price tag, and that's how they view their customers. The companies that make this game, that make these games and put these types of skins and such in the game, is a reflection of how they view the customer base. So really, it must be a shame to play these games and to be like a regular human being, like a normal Joe 5-0, not Joe 5-0. That's if you're a police officer, you're Joe 5-0. You're cool. You're cool. But if you're Joe 6-pack working on the weekends, working for the weekend, or even just like a regular person, like someone that's on the internet and just, you know, does what they do, it must be kind of a shameful thing to know that the company thinks that that makes these big shooter games think of you and other people that bought the game as someone who really appreciates low art, or else they wouldn't be selling it if people didn't buy it. You know, people buy it, so it's one of those things. But yeah, blame Resident Evil 4. and Modern Warfare 1, and Call of Duty 2, the big red one.
Think I might actually make it home from this lousy war. Incoming! Find cover! Get out of here! Rockland!
The big red one's to blame, I would say. This is more of a ranting type video. It's just something that I noticed. I don't know, it's not gonna stop until people stop paying for it. CSGO is really to blame for all of this. You wouldn't think that having an unboxing portion of the game, like a little gambling thing to purchase a weapon skin, would like culturally change the way that first-person shooters push their aesthetic. All that glitters isn't gold, yet shoe shine can gloss in the cheapest of sneakers. I don't know who said that, probably Confucius or Plato. Plato's the smartest man that ever lived. Whatever.